It's Mango Mania! Hi, I'm Macey, one of your registered dietitians. Welcome to another Kids Cook at Home class, Mango Mania. Today we will be learning all about mangoes and preparing 3 tasty recipes. Let's go ahead, get started. As always, let's start out by washing our hands. To start out today, I wanted to talk a little bit about selecting a ripe mango. So with mangoes, the color is actually not going to be the best indicator of ripeness, and instead the feel of the mango will be a better indicator. So to select a nice ripe mango, we can go ahead and pick it up, give it a gentle squeeze. It should have a little squish, have a little bit of give, and then we'll know that it's nice and ripe. So with that, we can go ahead and jump into our recipes for today. Let's start out by washing all of the produce for all of our 3 recipes. So go ahead and wash all your fruits and vegetables. And we will start with our first recipe, which will be the mango berry pops. For our mango berry pop recipe, we will need 3 mangoes. So you can grab those out now. And we will begin with cutting our mangoes for this recipe. So if you don't know how to cut a mango, that's okay. We'll be going over some tips today. So you can go ahead and grab a knife. If you have an adult with you, make sure that you have them help you with this step. And so we can grab our mango. The first thing to know when cutting mangoes is that there's a long flat seed in the middle of mangoes. So we'll want to start with cutting around that. So we'll start with turning the mango on its side, and we'll cut one big chunk off of the side. And then we'll twist it and do the other on the other side as well. And then we can push the seed aside, and we'll have our 2 halves. We'll set aside our large knife, grab a smaller knife, and we are going to make 4 long cuts in the mango, being careful not to cut through the skin. And once we've made those 4 long cuts, we can turn it and make 4 cuts the other way. Now we'll grab a large spoon, and all we'll have to do is go out along the outer edge, and we're going to scoop out those pieces. We can scoop those right into our bowl. So you can pause here to complete the rest of your mangoes, and then we will move on to the next step. Our next step is to grab all the fruit that we'll be using for these mango berry pops and our popsicle molds. So we can start out with putting the raspberries in the mold. So grab a few raspberries, drop them in, and do the same with each popsicle mold. And then we'll move on to our mangoes, doing the same thing. And we will top them off with some blueberries. So I have all of my fruit in my popsicle mold, so we'll move on to the next step, which is to grab our coconut water and our agave. And if you don't have any agave, that's okay. You can use another sweetener like honey. So we'll start out with measuring out our coconut water, and with any liquids, we want to make sure we're using a liquid measuring cup. And when we're measuring, we want to make sure that we get down eye level to the line so we can see that it is accurate. So we're going to measure out 2 cups of the coconut water, get down even with the lines of the measuring cup, and pour that in. Our 2 cups, and then we will grab our agave, and we are going to do 2 tablespoons. One and 2. You can give that a nice mix. And then we will go ahead and pour this mixture into each popsicle mold until it's a little below the line, so there's enough room for us to still put in the top of the popsicle mold. So you can go ahead and pause here to do that. And then the last step is to put the topper in each one, and then we can pop these in the freezer until they are solid. We will now move on to our second recipe, which is our chicken mango nachos, and we will need 1 cup of mangoes for this recipe. So we are going to dice these mangoes just like we did in our first recipe. So we can go ahead and cut it the same way by cutting off 2 chunks off of the side. And then we will start again with making the 4 long cuts. And of course, for this recipe, we are wanting dices, but if you are snacking on mangoes, this is a great way to snack on them. Just having these in the strips, so you can grab the spoon if you'd like and just scoop them out that way if you were to be snacking on the mango. So we'll go ahead and do the next cut so we can get these into dices. And grab our spoon and scoop those out. Once you have your 1 cup of mangoes, we can go on to our next step, which will be to dice our bell pepper. Now we have our bell pepper, so we will go ahead and dice that as well. So to dice a bell pepper, we can turn it on its side and we'll cut off the top first. And then we'll have a nice flat surface to work with, so we can flip that around. And then we will just cut 4 chunks off of the pepper. Then our next step will be to grab one of the chunks of peppers, and we are going to cut that into strips. Once we have our strips, we can push those all together, and we will cut them one more time to make our dices. And when we're cutting, we want to keep our fingers away from the knife. And then you can go ahead and pause here and finish cutting the rest of the pepper. We will now move on to cutting up our avocado. So with the help of an adult, you can go ahead and grab your avocado, grab a knife, and then we are going to make a cut all the way around the avocado. Do this, and then just turn slowly. And then we can pull apart our 2 pieces, and then we can flip one piece, and we are going to cut this in half. So you can kind of rotate that, cuts through. And you can pull apart these pieces, and then we'll cut this half in half as well. And then we can just go ahead and peel the skin off. Right, so we have our avocados, and we are going to move on to the next step of dicing our avocados. My hands got a little messy, so I'm going to go ahead and wash them, and I'll meet you back here. For our next step, we will grab 1 piece of the avocado, and we are going to slice those like we did with our bell pepper. So you can just slice those into smaller pieces. And then again, push those strips close together. And then we will dice those. And then you can go ahead and pause here and finish dicing the rest of the avocado. We will now move to the next step, which is to dice our chicken. So you can take out your 2 chicken breasts and grab a knife, and we are going to start with cutting into strips. So we'll cut the long way on the chicken. All right, and then once we have our strips, we will turn them to the side and we will cut them into smaller pieces. And then you can go ahead and do the same with the second chicken breast. And anytime that we are handling raw meat, we want to make sure that we wash our hands after, and also make sure to wash your cutting board and your knife as well. Next, you can grab some olive oil. We'll put a drizzle of olive oil in a pan and then add the chicken to that. So go ahead, add some olive oil. And our chicken. And then we will move to the next step, which is to saute our chicken. And now I'm going to check that our chicken has been cooked to a safe temperature, which is 165 degrees or higher for chicken. So go ahead and do that. All right, and we're all set. We can now go ahead and assemble our nachos. So go ahead and preheat your oven broiler to high, and then we can go ahead and start. So take 1 bag of tortilla chips and dump them out on a sheet pan. Spread those out on the pan. And then we can go ahead with sprinkling all of our toppings over the top of the chips. So we'll start with our chicken. And then our bell peppers. Our mangoes, and our cheese. And then you can go ahead and pop this in the oven for 5 minutes or until the cheese has melted. So I have pulled my nachos out of the oven. Make sure to keep an eye on your nachos as they're under the broiler so they don't get quite as crispy as mine did, but that's okay. We will finish off by adding our final topping. So I have my avocado, some lime juice, and some cilantro. So we can go ahead and just drizzle our lime juice over top. And then add our avocado. We'll garnish with our cilantro. And our chicken mango nachos are complete. We are now ready to move on to our third and final recipe, our tropical mango smoothie. So we will start with our mango, and we are dicing the mango that is in this recipe. So we have done a lot of practicing with cutting our mangoes today, so we can go ahead and cut our last one. So turn it on its side as we had before, cut off the one large chunk, turn it and cut off the other large chunk. And we'll make our 4 cuts. Turn it and our other 4 cuts. And then we can go ahead and scoop that into our blender. All right, our next step will be to grab all of the remaining ingredients for this recipe, and we will come back here and finish off the recipe. I have all the remaining ingredients, so we will just need to measure out the 1 cup of coconut milk. So we can go ahead and do that again in our liquid measuring cup. We got the 1 cup, and we can pour that right into the blender. Then we can grab our banana, open that up, and put that in the blender as well. And then we'll add our pineapple, our cashews, and our ice. And then we can go ahead and blend that all up. So the last thing to do is to pour our smoothie into a cup, and we can garnish with some mint if you would like to, and of course, enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me today for our Mango Mania class. A special thank you to our friends at the National Mango Board for providing the recipes for today's class. We love to see your little chefs at work in the kitchen, so if you post anything on your social media, please tag us. And don't forget to fill out our after-class survey for a chance to win a gift card to one of our stores. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.